welcome to the Superheroes Journey Spider-Man Homecoming spoiler-filled review.
Yes.
We did our other review, our sort of non-spoiler review in the regular episode.
Yeah, a very non-specific, just a love fest for Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh, in case you didn't know, this is Carl Freeman here and
Brian Shores.
And
you should know that by now.
Yeah, if you're listening at this point.
We're just going to get hostile now. Like, you should know better.
So yeah, Spider-Man Homecoming. Great movie or greatest movie?
Not greatest, but great.
That's the old Stephen Colbert thing they used to do.
Yeah. No, I'm just flashing back to old, like, Colbert Report like bits. That's just making me even happier. No, it was. I went into it with high expectations, and I was surprised that those were exceeded.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, it deserves the opening weekend that it got. It deserves all the acclaim that it's getting. Tom Holland. I hope he doesn't get a big head over the success, because I hope he keeps a certain level of humility through all of it. But I mean, he should take a lot of pride in what he's been able to accomplish with everyone else on the team to make this movie.
For sure. This movie, like, I left the theater with a smile on my face, just happy for what I saw and just excited to see more and wanting to watch it again.
Yeah.
And just talking about the movie, like, well into the night. Like,
yeah.
We talked about it afterwards, and then I talked about it with my fiance, continued on the way home. I mean, just so much great stuff in this movie.
Yeah. No, there was so much about this to like and just appreciate and go back and want to rewatch, and it was just there was so much that was so great, and so much of it was just really smart. Like, not because I mean, like I said, I just want movies to be fun. That's all I need for it to be enjoyable. I don't need it to be the best movie in the world. I just need it to be fun, and this just was a super fun movie.
Look, let's get into it. Let's just
okay.
Get into the. Let's start. We're in the beginning of the movie.
Uncle Ben dies.
Yes, Uncle Ben.
They show they do the slow motion thing. They're walking out of a movie theater, and the gun gets caught in Aunt May's pearls, and it goes off. And they go, oh wait, no, that was the other greatest movie. No, that was Batman vs Superman.
Yeah,
which is just terrible.
Uncle Ben is not mentioned once in this movie.
He's alluded to,
yes,
but not mentioned, and I thought that was handled beautifully.
Yeah,
they handle all in one line of, I can't do that to Aunt May, not with everything she's gone through.
Right,
and you know exactly what he's talking about. If you don't know the backstory, you get everything you need to know about why he's being protective of his aunt, because clearly she's gone through some stuff.
Right. So the movie starts off with the Vulture, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we get
Michael
that.
Keaton,
we get this scene where it's immediately after the events of the first Avengers movie.
Yep. Yeah, where they're cleaning up the Chitauri invasion.
Yeah, and it was a pretty good character moment for him in the beginning,
it was an incredible character moment.
Yeah, or, the government's coming in and taking away his contract, and he like basically bet everything on this big job that he was gonna make all this money.
Yeah.
But he makes a comment about having to pay for getting the trucks and things like that, and this is gonna seriously hurt him if he doesn't get to do this job.
Yeah, he took a risk on like investing in the company for this job, because it was a huge thing. To clean up after this, like multi-billion-dollar, destruction, and then he has it taken away.
Yeah,
from
like
him.
they would have to contract it out to a lot of people.
Yeah,
it would be difficult to do all that work.
Yeah, there's no way that the National Guard, is set up to just clean up, all like half of New York City after it's been destroyed by an alien invasion.
And you can see one of those big giant like flying like monster things. Yeah, that was in there in the building.
Yeah, because I think wasn't that supposed to be like Grand Central Station? Like
it looks like
where
it,
the Hulk crashes into it and he he punches Thor. No, but you see the Avengers Tower all messed up,
Mm-hmm.
right after, it got, beat up with the fight with Loki and all that.
Yeah, and then so he ends up keeping some of the tech.
Yeah.
Because they stop him from doing it, but he had already brought some back in one shipment. And he's like, no, we're just gonna keep this crap.
Yeah, he's like, you know what, we'll be able to do something with this.
Right.
We'll find someone to buy it. Then you have the I forget the guy's name, but the Tinkerer.
Yeah.
The Tinker. He he's messing around with like a Chitauri power source, and he hooks it up to a fan, or a little propeller thing, and it starts.
Yeah, right.
It starts hovering around.
Floating thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's nice. It's alluding to like the technology that's eventually gonna be the Vulture's like wingsuit, but also just shows like it's like, oh yeah, this guy can just kind of figure it out, and he can make sense of it, and you can see where the investment of resources is going to go to and what they're going to do.
Yeah.
No, go
ahead. I was going to say, and then I like how and then it says, all right, 8 years later, and we see them, testing weapons that they've made out of this stuff.
Yeah, they're in full swing.
Yeah, and like now they've become a business where they steal this tech as much as they can try to get it from wherever they can, and repurpose it into weapons that they can sell to people. And now that's their business.
Yeah.
And him and Michael Keaton as the Vulture is the one who is doing some of the most difficult work. Whenever they need him, he puts on the Vulture, the big wingsuit, and he goes out and
goes out and like
steals something or whatever he needs to do.
Yeah, he steals the tech. What I really liked about that opening is that something that I think would have been really easy for a lesser writer to go in and just do it all through exposition and just be like, and then this is what we're going to do. Let's use this tech and we'll create things of our own, so then we can go and sell it, and then we'll make other things that we can use to procure more stuff. And instead of just going through like really bad exposition, they just kind of just showed you what they were going to do, and they didn't beat you over the head with it. It was very smart. It was very well done. They, showed a lot of respect for the audience to just understand what's happening.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, that was a great way to sell that story. Like,
yeah. I bought it instantly.
Yeah, but just telling me that that's how things went, and that they've been doing this for 8 years now. That they built this sort of criminal empire, and it's not like he just all of a sudden became a villain after buying the suit. Like, no, that's not how it worked.
Yeah, and he's not even necessarily a villain. He's just somebody with a skewed view of justice, which I think they did a really good job at like telegraphing when he's trying to reason with the head of damage control.
Right.
Where he's like, look, I invested in this. I bought trucks. Like, this is going to ruin me. And you have some guy just make a snide comment and say like, well, maybe you shouldn't have overextended yourself.
Right.
And he's, in his mind, he's like, okay, well, I'm going to respond in kind, and he decks this guy in the face, and it's such a satisfying moment.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody wanted to just hit that guy in the face, and then he does, and it's like almost out of sense of like personal justice, where it's not really like a malicious act. It's just a response. Which was great. I think that said a lot about his character, because
it was just a strong emotional response.
Yeah, because I think an overarching thing with the Vulture is his moral compass is skewed, but he has his own like set of morals and honor and view of justice and respect.
Yeah, and we'll get into more of him later, because he's a great character, and we're going to talk about him a lot.
Yeah, they could have actually just done a straight-up Vulture movie with Michael Keaton, and it would have been great.
Yeah, he's incredible. Yeah. So then the first time we see Spider-Man, and this is really cool too, I didn't expect this, that they do a sort of like video log that he's taking of himself, like from the moment where he meets Tony Stark and is being sent to Germany to help them fight
in the
Civil War movie.
See, that scene, that was actually released online the week before the movie came out.
The whole thing?
Yeah, the whole thing, the whole 5-minute thing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I saw that. Like, I didn't realize that was going to be in the movie. I thought that was just kind of a prequel thing they did.
With the suit, I was there, like the suitcase.
Yeah.
Right, where he gets the suit for the first time.
Yeah.
So that I saw, but.
Yeah, no, the whole thing where he's like, Queens, he's affecting that weird voice.
Oh yeah.
he's like, and he just goes through the whole monologue, and Happy's like, why are you talking like that? Who are you talking to? Which that was also setting up like the back and forth between Happy and Peter Parker that I loved.
What was so great about them doing it that way was, if you hadn't seen any of the other movies, you immediately understood where Spider-Man's position was in this universe where these other heroes are.
Yeah.
You got to see that he was new to this. He didn't really understand what was happening, but he was very excited to be a part of it. He was just kind of thrown into it.
Yeah.
And that he's eager to be a hero like them, but he isn't there yet.
Yeah. Yeah, you instantly just kind of like knew his role without getting beat over the head with it. Yeah. I don't know, it seems like with this movie, they just made a whole lot of like good decisions.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I can't say enough good things about this movie. It really deserves to have like the attention and the appreciation that it's been getting.
Yeah. So let's see. Let's talk about the suit.
I love the suit.
The suit does some really awesome stuff, and
yeah.
I don't know. I know some people may think that it maybe takes away from Peter in that he's given this suit that can do all this stuff. That's not something he made.
Well, I look at it as it's all based off of things that he did. Like the irising eyes. His suit, his homemade suit already had that.
Right. That was cool that they showed that.
Yeah, he made the web shooters. He made the web fluid. All of that was stuff he designed himself. So basically, Tony Stark just took what he already had and streamlined it, and then basically gave it the AI with the heads-up display.
Yeah. Now, it added a lot to the movie. So even if you didn't think, and it's not like the original comics, okay, yes, I get that. But man, was it? Yeah. It was fun. It was so much
great.
Fun.
I don't like. I want that to be part of Spider-Man's suit in the comics. Even if you have to like come up with like a whole new like imprint like mini series.
Well, in the newer run of Spider-Man, his suit does have a lot of cool tech stuff like that in it.
But I want him to have the AI too.
I don't know if it has an AI
because I really liked the back and forth that they had.
Yeah, so he names the AI Karen.
Yeah,
randomly.
Because well, he was calling her Suit Lady first.
Yeah.
Which, because we did have a couple weeks ago the cast breakdown for the movie, and we were kind of speculating, who Karen / Suit Lady was, in the movie, and it turns out it's the same character.
Right.
And it's just the AI.
Yeah. Right. Which it doesn't come into the movie until after Ned hacks into the suit.
Yeah.
And disables the
training
wheels protocol.
Yeah.
Right. And
which I love that it also had the baby monitor.
Yeah.
Like protocol.
Uh-huh. So yeah, it's and Ned also, I love his character in that he is so excited about like Peter being Spider-Man. He has so many questions, and he just wants to be his sidekick essentially. Yeah. It's like what does he say, like the guy in the chair?
The guy in the chair. Yeah.
He wants to be the guy in the chair, helping him out.
Which was so great. And then, then they also made Ned like the audience character, the one who's able to ask all the expository questions, but they don't really give any more time to anything than they need. Where the entire backstory they gave Spider-Man comes down to a line of like, "Really, a spider? Can the spider bite me too? No, the spider's dead, Ned." Oh, okay. And like that's all the backstory, and that's all you need.
Yeah.
Like, cause you can show the spider biting Peter Parker, but what's the point? Like, you get it all in a sentence. Like, it's awesome. Like, cause how many times do you need to watch a spider bite a kid? Like,
right. The two of them, like, they have a really great relationship and as just like best friends, but then they're also both really smart and they're both studying, science stuff together, and they find that they get that piece of Chitauri energy source from one of the bombs. Yeah, well, from one of the heists, right? One of the weapons that they were shooting at him.
Yeah, they got it from the weapon, but it turns out to actually be like the power source to a Chitauri explosive.
Yeah. So, but they're like trying to study and figure out what it can do, and it's cool. It's cool that they're both like smart, intelligent, like scientific kids.
Yeah, and you buy it too. Like you buy that. They're able to figure this stuff out, and the one is stronger at the one thing than the other. Like where Peter is more so on like the biochemistry, where you actually. And I love that they actually show him making the web.
Oh yeah, I was just thinking of that too. Yeah,
like he's doing it while the teacher's not looking in chemistry class. He's got it down in a drawer.
Yeah, and you know what? Like that, like in the other movie, and we said this when we were talking about the Amazing Spider-Man, is that I never believed that he could do any of that stuff.
Yeah,
and I always said like less is more, really. And this movie did that. Yeah. They showed us essentially that he made the web fluid using resources in school. And that's all you really need to know. And
I loved on the piece of paper it says web fluid like version 3.0.
Yeah, like he's been doing this for a while.
Yeah, and he's still developing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was like there are times where I'm going to be like at a loss for words just because I'm trying to think of like a way to describe it other than like, no, it was awesome.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. What are the characters we got? We got the main love interest.
Yeah.
Which Liz Allen is her name, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, the surprise later.
That was a thing that I thought was a little strange. They never explained why, and I thought they kind of needed to, why her last name was Allen.
Did they ever say that in the movie?
No.
Like no, her actual last name.
Yeah.
They did? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't explain it, but okay. Let's just talk about it, I guess. We're doing full spoilers anyway.
Yeah, spoilers.
Now, we talked about this in our podcast, and there was that junior novelization of the book where the story came out, and they said, like, Michelle Toombs. She's the daughter of the Vulture.
Yeah.
And then we see the movie, and it's not her.
No, it's Liz Allen. It's the daughter of the Vulture.
In a great reveal moment where he goes to take her to the homecoming, and he goes to pick her up at the house, and opens the door, and it's freaking...
Yeah, the Vulture, Adrian Toombs. And I love that, like, he doesn't know who Peter is, but Peter instantly knows who he is.
Right.
And, like, Peter's just, like, silently just, like, freaking out.
Yeah.
And he's just being, like, the fun dad, where he's, like... He's just trying to be the cool dad, just like messing with him a little, where he's like, "Can I get you a drink?" And he's like, "I'm too young to drink, sir." He's like, "Right answer." And then like Liz walks in and he just goes, "Wow." He's like, "Right answer again."
Yeah.
Like he's definitely being like the cool dad until he realizes who Peter is.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, to the whole Zendaya not being.
Well, so with Liz Allen, I mean, another thing with that reveal is that. You finally find out like the family that he's always talking about. Like Vulture's always talking about he's doing this for his family.
Yeah, the very first thing you see is a drawing that Liz did of the Avengers in New York.
Right.
And he's he's showing it to his friend, just like proud of, like how good she is as an artist, but annoyed that she's spending her time like focusing on like these people that he clearly just like detests.
Yeah, so in that way it's like an excellent reveal in two ways, because you not only get the surprise of the villain being the father of the main love interest, but also you find out that the villain's family is a character that that you've already gotten to know in the movie.
Yeah.
And it gives it more weight that someone you care about and like in this movie is someone that the villain actually is supposed to be caring about.
Yeah, especially that this character is built up to be like very kind-hearted and good-spirited and just like intelligent and moral, and just in Liz, that she's very much like an upstanding and just a really just like nice, like kind person, the kind of person that like you're rooting for Peter to get.
Yeah.
And for her to be the daughter of like the big villain of the movie.
Yeah, you just didn't expect it.
Yeah.
And maybe they did that on purpose with
clearly.
that reveal, like releasing the book, releasing like saying that Michelle was that character just to throw people off and not to have people know that surprise.
Yeah, I do wonder if that was on purpose or if it was just inferred wrong, where
Right.
like
Could
it got
be,
out that that it's like, okay, so the love interest turns out to be the daughter of the Vulture,
Right.
and people like just assume that it's the Michelle character.
Yeah. Now, you said the thing about they didn't explain her name, why it's Liz Allen, but to me, I didn't really care because in my head, I came up with like a reason
And that
why, and it's simple enough to say just that the mother maybe she's not actually
like biological
daughter,
yeah,
and she just has a different last name. Like
yeah.
there's a lot
it could be.
there's a lot of families like that in the real world, and there's no reason why he can't still be her father and have raised her since very young.
Yeah.
And she just not have the same last name.
Yeah.
It's like that's totally plausible in my head, and like I didn't need a real explanation for it.
Yeah, I did think it was just. I think it would have been better if they just never gave her last name in the movie, just because it would have been left open ended, because it very much came off as kind of. And this is in the podcast I said that I was gonna have a lot of stupid little nitpicky things.
Okay,
this is one of those. Yeah, I acknowledge that this is a completely trivial thing and does not.
Yeah.
It did not detract from the movie, but it was one of the things where I just kind of thought about it as this is an awfully convenient thing.
Well, they would ruin the surprise if the last name was the same. So
well, yeah, but I mean, just don't refer to her as the last name.
Well, I mean, she's also the character from the comics, Liz Allen. She's
Yeah.
not the same character, but
Yeah.
she's named for that character. So
Yeah.
like, they wanted to throw you off the scent intentionally, and they succeeded,
Yeah.
and it was for good cause.
Oh yeah, no, of course.
You know,
like
and-
I'm not mad at it.
And my headcanon for that is perfect.
Sure, yeah.
And if that's true, I mean, I would love it in an interview them to say, yeah, that's the truth.
Yeah.
And that's all you need to say. Just like they said with Spider-Man or Peter Parker being the kid in Iron Man 2 wearing the mask. Like,
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, that's a real thing. That's fine. Like,
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah. Which I mean, like that's a complete throwaway thing.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, it's not a big thing at all, but.
So, I love the moment where he's in the suburbs and trying to swing and use his webs, and he's like doesn't know what to do because there's nothing to really swing.
Okay. So that was a great scene, and I loved it. Like because you have, he's running and they show him like shoot a web, and it goes, and you expect him to start to jump and start swinging, and then like. It cuts to a shot behind him, and the web just falls
in the golf course, right?
In the golf course, because there's like nothing for him to. But I will say that was probably one of this. I probably have like 3 like nitpick things, and this is one of the nitpick things that I had, because I have seen the movie twice now.
Okay.
They kind of overdid the wide shot of just like a scape of some kind, whether it's a cityscape or rooftop scape, or the golf course, where it's just this big wide shot, and then you have really small Spider-Man just kind of like awkwardly like running across the screen or like swinging and falling or hitting the side of a building. It's something where it's like it's funny if you do it like once or twice. They ended up doing like 4 or 5 times.
I didn't know this. I remember a few of them, and I liked those shots. I thought they were cool.
No, they were really great, but I think if they limited the number, because then it hit a point where we're like, okay, we're doing this again.
Yeah. All right.
But
it wasn't something I noticed.
Yeah. Like I said, it's something I noticed more so on the second time.
Mm-hmm.
Because the first time I was just caught up in how incredible the movie was.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a small nitpick thing. Like that was like everything altogether was great. So
he goes to the party. Like Liz Allen has this big party, and what's his name? Flash is like teasing him, and he says like he knows Spider-Man, and that he can that he'll have Spider-Man come to the party.
Yeah.
And he goes to the party like with the idea that he's going to come out as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Wearing the suit underneath his clothes.
Well, not come out as Spider-Man, but like appear as Spider-Man.
Right, appear as Spider-Man. Yeah. But I love how he's like debating whether he should do it or not. He's out. He's getting in the suit at one point, and he's like he's the hero that you want. Like he's the guy. He knows that it's wrong to use this for his own personal gain.
But at the same time, he's also like, I'm a kid, and this is gonna like help me get in good with the girl that I really like.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he chooses not to do it, and that's great. Like it's
but
just such a great character, and more like his morality is like exactly what you expect it to be.
But the only reason why he chooses not to do it though is because he sees the explosion in the distance.
Well, yeah, it's part of it. I mean,
I feel like he was gonna like just put the rest of his clothes back on and just go back down and tell Ned like I can't do it.
I don't think he was gonna do it.
Yeah, but in the movie, like he doesn't get the chance to go to that point because he sees, he sees like that these weapons are going off, and he's like, no, I have to stop this. Like,
Yeah, but that's also a great part about his character. Like, he sees something happening, and he's like, I could do something great for myself, but like, no, I'm just gonna go. I wanna stop this problem. I wanna stop these crimes.
Yeah, no, that was great. Like I love that they had Peter, just constantly making the selfless choice, like the one that's actively going to negatively impact his life,
right?
Or his personal life, but he does it because it's the greater good thing. Like having the line of like, hey, if you're gonna shoot somebody, shoot at me, just because he knows that he can most likely dodge the bullet and then disarm the guy, which he does.
And having Ned know his secret identity early on is great because you get somebody who can now, like, he can talk to about it, and it's fun for us in the audience. And the other movies didn't really do that.
Yeah.
Did anybody know that he was Spider-Man?
Mary Jane eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was never really any, and then in the Amazing Spider-Man movies, Gwen knows. But he never has like a buddy that knows.
Right, yeah.
It's not like if you were like moonlighting as a superhero and you're like, hey Brian, dude, check this out, I can fly. We'd like joke about it and like be like, dude, that's awesome. What else can you do? And like, you'd have, because obviously your fiance would know.
For sure, yeah.
Because I mean, like, why not? Especially because you guys live together, and it'd be kind of weird. You're like, don't worry about why I'm leaving the house in the middle of the night in tights. Just it's cool. Yeah. It's cool. I'm not going to that club again. Like, but yeah, no, it's just like, it's great that he has like the friend to, just talk about it with and just be silly about it and joke about it and, confide in and like the really like heavy stuff, when he might know what he needs to do, but he just needs to have a sounding board. And, it's great that they made that decision.
So it's also great that they took him out of New York City several times in this movie.
Yeah.
He went on that trip to Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And that was all because he was following the trail of the Vulture. Mm-hmm. He put like a tracking device on, it was on... the
Shockers.
The Shockers thing, right?
Yeah.
The Shocker, actually, I like the way they explained the Shocker.
Yeah.
Like the one guy was like... That was a great scene also with Vulture, and he's like, oh, you're going around, calling yourself the Shocker, like you're somebody big and tough or whatever. And the guy was having a argument with him about, what was it? I don't know. He was mad about.
It was about like money, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Oh no, it was because he's like, hey, what did I tell you about shooting off the weapons in public?
Right, yeah.
He do you want shield and damage control coming down here and finding us? And then
because he was being smart about selling this. They've been doing this so long, he doesn't want to get caught.
And then it goes into the thing where he basically says like, maybe because he basically like fires him, and he goes, yeah, well, it's gonna be more expensive me working for you or not, because I know all your secrets, and then he picks up the gun.
Yeah.
And like,
that was such a great moment.
And he just shoots him, and just like this guy just like basically like turns to ash.
Yeah, he gets disintegrated.
And then
he had, by the way, he had like the shocker gauntlet on.
The shocker gauntlet on.
And that's the only thing that like falls to the floor.
Yeah. And then the Vulture just goes like, huh, thought that was the anti-gravity gun. And just completely just forgets it, grabs the shocker thing, tosses it to the other guy, and he's like, you're the shocker now.
I guess you're the shocker. Yeah, that was so good. I love that he didn't intend to kill this guy.
Yeah.
But
it also
he
didn't
did,
phase
and he
him.
was like, well, okay, that solves my problem. Yeah. So whatever, it's fine.
Yeah. It's like, well, I guess that works too.
Yeah.
Because it's a good subtle way to show that, he has no problem taking a life. Mm-hmm. He doesn't intend on doing these bad things, but he's open to, doing the bad things.
And they had some really cool tech. Like, I really like that that like matter phasing,
Yeah,
whatever.
like
thing.
the thing that splits into 4 things and like opens like the
It makes like it phases the matter that so you can put it on a wall or something.
Yeah.
And it has it makes a box that you can just phase through. You can walk right through it.
Which they had the perfect intro to that tech, where the guy just like throws it on the side of the fridge to grab a drink.
That was really good.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it was cool because you think like, all right, what this is really random like tech that he has, that he's just grabbing a beer through the wall of the fridge, but then it's used later on in their heists.
Yeah,
and that's a great explanation as to how they're doing some of these things.
Yeah, no, they did a really good job at just kind of introducing concepts so that nothing seemed jarring or out of place. Still, it was just, this movie was just so many good decisions.
Yeah, so the Tinkerer guy, he keeps alluding to some like high altitude, whatever thing.
Yeah, the high altitude seal or something.
Yeah, the seal, and Vulture keeps telling him like, nah, we don't need it yet. We don't need it yet.
He's like, no, we're not doing that. No, I'm not gonna do that. No. And it only comes out of a moment of like desperation where he's like, hey, can you do that high altitude seal thing? And like the Tinker just gets so excited. He's like, yeah, I've been waiting all year for this. Let's do it.
And the way the thing they did with it was really cool. I didn't expect that to be. I thought it was just going to be like, oh, it's just going to be an enhanced version of his suit, which it sort of was. But
see, I thought it was. I thought he was talking about being like a, because he keeps on talking about like, if you really want to go for like, the big score or whatever. For whatever reason, my mind just went to like, okay, he's sealing up the Vulture suit, and he's gonna go after the what was it, Veronica, the Hulkbuster like satellite.
Oh, the satellite. Okay.
Like I thought it was gonna be something like he was going after
orbit,
like that. Like I thought that's what he was talking about. But what they did was so much better.
Yeah, so it turns out it's a way that he can essentially rob an aircraft.
Yeah.
Because his suit can go up on attached to the bottom or any part, I guess, of the ship, and create a vacuum sealed compartment, which then he can use that matter phasing thing to put on the face of the wall of the ship and then go right into it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so cool. It's brilliant.
Yeah. And and it was such a great payoff. Yeah. Like, I loved like that they actually show like a close up of like the retro reflective panels that they've been talking about since like, the first Avengers movie, which was a great scene where they're showing the top of like the plane and you just see like Spiderman crawling.
Yeah, because he's on the bottom.
He's on the bottom.
Yeah. Like, really cool.
Yeah. Oh man, they just did so much fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean all this like little MCU stuff. So in the plane that he's trying to steal from is all this Stark tech stuff that he's transporting from his Avengers Tower to the new
because there's a
facility.
There's a B storyline where Happy is in charge of, I guess Tony Stark sold the Stark Tower from the Avengers movie, and they're moving to the facility that they set up upstate New York that you see in the end of like Civil War. Or throughout the Civil War, and they're just boxing up all of the old Avengers tech, like they say, like Thor's belt, and like they have like crates of arc reactors, and
what was there's another thing that they mentioned, I thought.
Captain America's new shield.
Yeah, right, which is interesting because to me, I'm thinking, is there a new Captain America? Is Falcon going to be Captain America? And
that's kind of where I was going with it.
Is he building him a shield specific for him? That makes sense. And he's not going to give him Captain America's shield because like that's special. And even Tony would look at that as like, no, like that's his. He's
like, that's my dad's. Like,
yeah, like, but it's also that's Steve's, and like that's just not for him. I can build another one.
Yeah.
So who knows? That could be a little tidbit as to where we're going to go.
Or were they looking at it as, because you have in Iron Man 2, you have the like the prototype Captain America shield that Tony Stark used to just level out the particle accelerator. And Coulson was like, "Do you know what this is?" He's like, "Yeah, I do. No, that's perfect. Bring it here, give it to me." And then he just shoves it underneath the thing. So I mean, like maybe it was a reference to that, but I'm like, I'm kind of.
Yeah, well, because that wouldn't be that time period, so. Because this was 8 years after Avengers.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he still would have had the thing.
Yeah, but he wouldn't be making that, because this is after Civil War.
Yeah, but they didn't say they were making it. They, he could have just been referring to it as the.
Oh, just like the okay, like the crappy prototype.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, my idea is so much better.
No, I agree.
Because it makes sense also that they would want a new Captain America.
Yeah.
Because if Captain America is sort of a fugitive, which they even imply in this movie, they say.
But the thing is, I don't think it would be Falcon though, because Falcon would have been arrested.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
On the raft, and then Steve Rogers would have just broken
That's
him
true.
out.
So who would it be?
Well, it can't be Bucky.
Can't be Bucky, right? Yeah, I mean, it could be. It's not gonna be Rhodey.
No.
And who else is on his side? There's like nobody on his side.
Sharon Carter.
Sharon Carter.
Maybe.
Why not? But she wouldn't be on their side anyway.
She's a double agent. Maria Hill.
Maria Hill.
A
new character. It's America Chavez.
Yeah. Who?
That's the Miss America, I guess is her superhero name.
Oh,
She's like
yeah.
A female type Captain America.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there were a few other Captain Americas like in the interim, so maybe they were going to reference one of them, but and have it just be like Captain America is now franchised.
So I guess while we're talking about all this stuff, we could talk about Iron Man's role in the movie.
Actually, let's talk about Captain America's role in the movie first.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing I just made a comment about how they. The guy's like, oh, I guess we got to show these videos, even though he's kind of a fugitive right now. Like, whatever.
I love that line so much where he's like, these videos are still required by the state. I think he's kind of a war criminal now, but let's just do this anyway. Like, I just love the awkward humor of where he's like, my good friend, your gym teacher, and like Captain America motions to his right, but the gym teacher's standing on the left, like the left of the TV. Which, I mean, I kind of wonder how much of that was put in by Hannibal Buress, who is a comedian. Yeah. Like, he's the guy who played the gym teacher. Or, like, if all of that was just in the script. I don't know. But yeah, no, I that was great. All the little interstitials they did with Captain America.
I like how he's got the old, like, the cheesier Avengers suit.
Yeah.
While he's doing that. And it makes sense because I guess they would have been done earlier on after the Avengers movie.
Yeah, where it was just so great. He's like, so, you've gotten yourself in detention. And speaking to somebody who, he's like, I bet you think you're pretty cool. And speaking to somebody who spent, decades on ice, the only way to truly be cool is to follow the rules. Like, it's 100% perfect, like Steve Rogers. All the way up to the last one you see in the movie where it's like the last end credit scene where he's like, hi, I'm Steve Rogers, or Captain America. I've come to talk to you about patience. And it's just this whole thing where he's just basically saying, like, you wasted your time watching these credits.
And it's really like the Ferris Bueller thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
It's their own version of it. Like, why are you still waiting here type thing.
Yeah, which was so great. He's like, and sometimes all of your patience doesn't pay off. And that's just like there's just a beat where like everybody's just waiting for something else, and then they laugh. Which was so great.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Aunt May, we could talk about how they handled her character.
Yeah, which I have a feeling that a lot of the stuff they did with Aunt May was basically trolling the internet for like all the comments of Hot Aunt May.
Yeah.
Maybe. Where they have like where everybody's making comments about like, oh dude, your aunt's so hot because Marissa Tomei is beautiful. Like she's I mean, I don't know, I'm flashing back to when I was a kid and had a crush on her from like My Cousin Vinny. Like,
see, I don't remember her back. I didn't watch that
really?
movie, so like to me, I don't know. I just know her like she is now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, yeah, because I also like watched what was it, A Different World, which was a sitcom, is a spinoff of the Cosby Show that she was on.
I watched some of that, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, like that was a show that I watched, and I don't know, she was just like super cute, and I was like a kid and like discovering girls, and I was like, oh, I want that one, and I couldn't have that one.
Sorry, Brian.
Yeah.
Just like I can't have Emma Stone.
Yeah, you really botched that one up, Carl.
I know.
I guess you're gonna have to settle for your fiance.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm happy.
Yeah, you're like, I guess. Yeah. But I did love everything they did with her. Where like, because I mean, like, make no mistake, like she's not young. Like she's like 53.
Right.
Like, but she looks like how 53 looks now. Mm-hmm. Which is a lot younger. Where like, I'd buy that, like, in the original comics, Aunt May and Uncle Ben were probably in their 50s. They just looked like they were 100 years old because they're just like, this is what old people look like.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, people look a lot younger than they are now.
Yeah. I very much...
and I think she was a really, like, I don't know. She was definitely came off as like the cool aunt.
Yeah, I like how they handled it in that she didn't seem to know that she was hot. You know.
Yeah.
For the most part, like she didn't use it to her advantage. She didn't like do any sort of real wink stuff about it.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, when like they're getting food and like the guy gives her something for free and she's like, oh, that's so nice, and she doesn't seem to pop into her head immediately. Like that's not part of her character.
Yeah, like she's not like oblivious to things, but it's just something she doesn't really just kind of look for, I guess.
Right.
You know, which I was taking from, you know, the headcanon that, you know, in her mind she's still married to Uncle Ben even though he's not around, and that's why she's not looking at those at it that way.
Yeah, I also thought that it showed her in a lot of ways. They showed her to seem like she was somewhat damaged in some way. Like she didn't
like she was hurt.
Yeah, like she seemed sort of oblivious to a lot of things because she was maybe dealing with something, you know. Yeah. But the only thing she really ever did for the most part was worry about Peter, you know, trying to make sure everything good was happening to him. You know, their relationship was really good, and they didn't have no stupid side plot with her.
Yeah,
you know, like they had in Amazing Spider-Man. Like, she was just there for Peter to bounce off of at times.
Yeah, and she was definitely came off as concerned but completely loving. Where, you know, you have the scene where after Tony Stark basically fires Peter, you know, and he comes home and she's like losing her mind because she's worried. She's at her wit's end. She's like, I tried calling you. I tried calling your friends. You can't do this to me. And then he sits down and he just kind of like rests his head against her and he's like, I lost this Stark internship. And like instantly she just goes from like worried, you know, like concerned about his well-being to making sure he's okay. And that, you know, and like, I love that it showed like just how caring she was and how much she loved her nephew and how, like, you know, he's her nephew, but like he's her son, like, you know, and like even though she, you know, they do kind of like somewhat of like a buddy relationship, you know, it's still, you know, it's still very like maternal and I don't know, like I think this was probably the best portrayal of an Aunt May, even though it's not like visually it's
traditional.
It's not the traditional, but you know, with the doting aunt and the loving aunt and, you know, and just, I think it's very much like what everything that it should have been.
So, okay, out of everything we've said so far, something we hadn't mentioned that was sort of a big thing coming into the movie was the whole scene with the ferry, right?
Yeah.
And everybody going into this movie saw the previews and they're like, oh, we saw the whole movie. They're showing us everything. Well, guess what? This movie has a ton of crap that you did not know at all was in this movie. You saw none of this. Almost everything we talked about, like, you didn't really know too much about.
Yeah, they did a really good job of giving you an idea of what's going to be with the movie, but they don't beat you over the head with it. They don't give too much away. They don't spoil really anything. Yeah,
so like that, the preview, you know, people thought that it gave away too much, but it really didn't. Yeah. And that ferry scene was like, it's an important scene, but it's not as big as you thought it was going to be in the trailers. And it's a cool scene. It's a cool action moment, and it's a good scene when Tony Stark. But the Tony Stark conversation with him isn't actually at the ferry. Yeah. Which I thought it was. It was actually off on some other building.
Yeah, and it, you know, the ferry scene was important, you know, because you see like two sides of the relationship between Peter and Iron Man, where Iron Man's not communicating with Peter very well. He's being aloof and dismissive because he doesn't really know how to, you know, like deal with kids or like deal with somebody younger. So like he comes off as just like dismissive, or, you know, when it comes to the issue with the weapons where he's like, yeah, it's not my problem, or that's below the Avengers pay grade. Never once does he say like, yeah, that's not my problem. I'll just pass it along to whose problem it is.
Right.
So you have in the scene Peter basically interferes with an FBI like sting operation to capture, like, you know, the Shocker and the Vulture, even though they don't know them by those names.
Right.
But basically these high-tech arms dealers, because Tony you know, like alerted the FBI to it.
Yeah.
You know, so you have like two-way like lack of communication where Peter, you know, like isn't telling like Tony Stark like, hey, I'm doing this thing and I'm gonna need backup. I messed with the suit. Look, I think I can take care of this. And then Tony Stark's also not telling him like, look, I'm taking care of this thing. This isn't safe for you. Like, we're working you toward being able to do these things. And then he kind of loses it at Peter, even though Peter does like almost everything he can to make it right.
Mm-hmm.
And I love
because he did interrupt this thing, like you said, which is something that. But if there was communication with them, then that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
But then because of that, a lot of people could have gotten hurt. It was the whole thing with the ferry getting split in half. Which is a really cool action sequence.
Oh yeah. Even though I never buy that, even when Peter has the thing webbed up, that thing should have been sinking because it was still cut all the way through.
Yeah.
Like the water should have been rushing in.
Yeah. And it was. The water was coming in there.
Yeah, but I mean, it should have been going down.
Like all the cars
faster.
were floating out into the water.
Yeah.
It was cool.
But yeah, I mean, it was still awesome, and I love the bit with Karen where he's like, okay, show me all the strongest structural points, and it highlights all of these like beams and stuff, and he goes through with this really awesome like action sequence, like showing like how he moves with the web, how he's swinging through like all these tight spaces and just like webbing the stuff all together. And then she's like, you did a really good job, you hit 98% of all the targets. And then like he just misses the one pylon that's like that would have just been enough to keep everything together, and the web starts snapping.
Yeah, really good. So also throughout the movie, Iron Man is tracking him, right? He knows where he is at all times. So the suit, he could even hear and see everything that he's seeing, and that sort of plays into that scene, right? Because he knew where he was and what he was doing.
Even though, shouldn't he have not known where he was because Peter took out the tracker?
Well, at that point, yeah, but he had known up to that point.
Yeah.
So he knew that he was getting into something.
Well, no, because he took out the tracker in DC. And he left it on the lamp.
Yeah, because he knew that the tracker was there, that he wasn't where he was supposed to be, right?
Yeah, but then like,
because he knew he was supposed to be at the thing, and I don't know, whatever it was, but he knew that he wasn't. He was being tricked.
But how?
Like he figured that out.
Yeah, but I mean, like, how did Stark know that he was at the ferry?
Well, he could surveil him other ways, I imagine.
Yeah, I guess.
So
he like taps into the cameras that are recording from the eyes.
It wouldn't be that hard, right?
Yeah.
So, but I love when earlier the Iron Man comes to him, right, and he thinks Iron Man's there, but he revealed that the suit's empty, and Iron Man's not there, and he's talking to him from somewhere else.
Yeah, he's like in India or something.
Yeah, which plays into it later in that sequence after the ferry, where Peter's like, "Oh, you didn't even take the time to be here," and then
the suit opens.
Yeah,
up.
he just steps out of the suit because he didn't think he was actually in it this time.
Yeah, and he has the great line that was in the trailer. Where he's basically firing Peter, and Peter's like, look, I'm nothing without the suit. And he's like, if you're nothing without the suit, then you don't deserve to have it. And that line sets up basically the rest of the movie, where Peter has to realize that, he's not just the tech, that Spider-Man isn't the suit, it's not the web shooters, it's him. It's not even his powers, it's his ability to know what's right to do. And like they do such a great job at like showing him go on that journey, because it's very much, even beyond a superhero movie, it's very much a coming of age like teen movie. In the same way that you have like Thor's like a fantasy movie, and
Ant-Man's a heist movie.
Iron Man's a heist movie. Yeah, like they're superhero movies in that they have superheroes in them, but they're very much all of these other genres. Like Captain America is a war movie. Winter Soldier is like an espionage movie.
Yeah.
This is like the teen movie, and it's very much a coming of age story. That even Aunt May kind of like pokes fun at Peter at when they're going to the party. She, and she's like, like, I understand you're nervous. You're dealing with all the changes your body is going through. You're flowering, and like. And they call it out in like the most fun way. And
so there's one scene I thought was really great acting by Tom Holland. A scene where he goes to confront Vulture in his warehouse.
Yeah.
Right? And then Vulture calls his suit, and it takes out all the beams, and the building falls on Spider-Man and it's like crushing him, and he's like trapped underneath all this stuff, and like that scene where he's like
all like the cement and like beams,
where he's crying out and like calling for help, and like
and he's literally crying too.
Yeah, like it's a really great emotional scene where you're like, wow, like I felt bad for him. I felt like, oh my God, he's in a lot of pain right now.
Yeah,
like, it was a really powerful scene.
Yeah, no, I'm exactly the same way. Like I was so invested in Tom Holland, like in his portrayal, where I'm like, they need to get this kid help. Like,
yeah, it was hard. It was almost hard to watch.
Yeah,
a little
because
bit.
he's terrified and he's hurt.
Yeah.
And he's crying and he's like, he's literally calling out for help, and he has no one. And it's in that moment that he kind of realizes he's like I'm the only one that's going to be able to help myself. And he's able to just through like sheer force of will, he's able to like, push himself out of the wreckage.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, in all actuality, he could have just pulled himself forward because there was like nothing in front of him, but still.
Yeah, but I mean, like it was a powerful scene. Like,
no, it was. It was an incredible scene.
I guess maybe that's just camera style. Like we're seeing it from that point of view.
So. No, that was me just being snarky, but that because I think the most powerful moments in this movie were not action sequences. Yeah. Because in the
we gotta get the scene in the car.
The scene in the car, dude. Yeah. That is the best scene in the whole movie. Like, because it's a scene where Adrian Toomes, the Vulture, is piecing together that Peter is Spider-Man, and the whole time it's Peter. Okay, so if you guys, for whatever reason, haven't seen the movie and you just want to listen to us just talk about
tell you the whole thing.
Seen, it's the scene where Peter goes, he's taking Liz to homecoming, and May drops him off, and he recognizes that the Vulture is his date's dad, and he's kind of like he's not really sure how to handle it, but like Liz is just excited because she's going to she's going to homecoming, and she's excited to be in in the pretty dress with the cute guy, and she's just excited. And you have the Vulture who's just being the dad, and he's just he's just kind of being a little serious, but just like still kind of poking fun at Peter.
Well, let's get to the scene,
Pedro.
right? Is that he offers to drive him and Liz to the homecoming.
Yeah, because he's saying he's going out of town.
And this whole time during the drive, like he's, like you said, piecing together who he is.
Yeah.
He's thinking of moments like, and he knows the voice. He's starting to recognize Spider-Man's voice.
Yeah. And Liz is just sitting there, just like taking selfies. Yeah. And just, just being kind of dismissive. She's like, oh, of course you know his voice. He's, he's on the academic decathlon team with me. Why wouldn't you know his voice? But he's putting it together. He was like, yeah, it must have been really scary for you guys in the elevator. And, and Peter's,
and that's in the Washington D.C. thing.
Yeah, and Peter's like, yeah, I wasn't in the elevator. I was lucky enough to actually be down on the ground for that. He's like, oh yeah, you weren't in there.
Yeah.
And he's like piecing it all together, and and he goes, they get to the school, and he's like, hey Liz, why don't you go? Or Vulture's like, hey Liz, why don't you go inside? Sorry kiddo, I wanna. Or what does he call her, like string bean or something? Or I forget what he.
Yeah, I don't know what he calls it.
Gumdrop or jelly bean.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, just some like
some term of affection.
Yeah, some term of affection. He's like, why don't you go inside? I want to give him the dad talk, And she's like, okay, Dad, don't worry. He doesn't mean anything. And instant, the door closes and he takes out a gun.
Yeah, and he just like casually like holds it against the passenger seat, where Peter can kind of see what he's doing there.
Yeah, and he's just like, he basically just says like, look, I know you're Spider-Man. You saved my daughter, and I'm not going to forget that. So I'm going to give you this one chance, okay? I'm not going to kill you, but you never cross me again, okay? I'm going to let you live, and you're going to show her a good time, and you never cross me again. Do you get what you say to people when they save your life like I just did? And you have Peter just scared out of his mind, just terrified, just saying like, just utters out just like, thank you.
Yeah. Like you made him say that to him. That was such a great moment.
Such a powerful scene in that. It really showed that Michael Keaton was the right person for that role. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm sure there's other actors who could have pulled that off, but I don't know if they could have done it with like that kind of intensity. I wouldn't want to see another actor in that role.
Yeah, and that comes back again later in the end credit scene, because Peter saves Vulture's life in the final conflict between them. You know, Vulture is desperately trying to steal like the last some bit of Stark
it's like a
tech.
creative like arc reactor.
Yeah, right at the end, because he just wants to get something. Like out of all he did, you know, he wants to get away with something. But Peter notices that his suit is totally malfunctioning and it's gonna blow. So he ends up saving him.
Yeah, which actually it just is. I don't want to get away from the point you're gonna make, but I want to say like that was my favorite thing about the end of this movie is that Peter didn't beat the bad guy, he saved the bad guy.
Right.
Like he didn't beat the villain, he didn't win. He just because he's that much of a moral character, he just saved him, which I thought that was such a beautiful way to handle that.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't even physically defeat him in battle. They both crashed in the plane, and Vulture's suit was mostly destroyed, and it was barely functioning properly.
Yeah, it was like technical malfunctions that that actually defeated the Vulture. It was like his greed is what defeated him.
Right, exactly.
It's just Peter was the one who was like, I can't let you die. Like, like it wasn't a matter of like I can't do that to Liz. He's like, it was just like I can't let a person die.
Yeah.
And I thought that was an incredible way to handle it. It wasn't the hero winning. It wasn't him trying to beat the bad guy. It was I have to save him.
Yeah, so the Vulture survives, which I love. I'm so happy they didn't kill this character.
Yeah, that was so great.
And he's in prison, and the guy who's going to be the Scorpion is there, and he's asking him whatever about Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's like, so I hear you know who Spider-Man is.
Right, and he plays it off like he has no idea.
Yeah,
and it's clearly because he saved his life, and he's not going to just give up his name to this guy who's like thug who's going to try and kill him.
Yeah, because he just has that value of like
he still has it's an honor among thieves type of thing.
Yeah, he has his honor code where he's like, you saved my life, I'm going to save your life. Like we're even now. Because he's walking away, he's got that smirk where he's like, okay, we're good now. Now I'm going to figure out my revenge.
Right.
And it was such a great thing, like, because you have somebody who he's not trying to take over the world. He's just trying to provide for his family. He's doing bad things for the right reasons. And he's still like a good guy. He just has that like damaged moral compass. It was, and I love that they took the character in that direction.
Right. And it's all like, I feel like it's rightfully so because he got screwed over by the government, and he's just someone, a lot of people are, in real life, just think that the government and the world is out to get them, and like if they had a chance to do something to get something back, they would, And he's that guy he's taking it that far,
Yeah, because he even has in the scene where right before what you were talking about, where the wingsuit just like takes out all the pillars and crashes the roof on Peter. He has that great bit of monologuing where he basically is saying like, Peter, you don't get it. Like the Avengers, they're not guys like us. Like we're guys from Queens. Like we're the guys who clean up after these people. Like we're begging for their table scraps, and like everything he's saying is coming from a place of like honesty.
Yeah.
Where I completely buy that he's looking at Peter. He's like, look, I get you. We have the same background. You're about to make similar decisions that I had to make, and he's obviously doing this just to stall, but it's this great moment where he's like, we're not, it's kind of like, I don't want to describe it as like the cliche, like, mustache twirling like villain. He's like, we're not dissimilar, you and I, but it's very much like he's trying to explain what he's doing, and it all makes sense.
Like, it all makes sense, and it's very much like I'm older and I'm experienced, and I know that the world is not what you think it is. You're young and naive, and that's true about the character, and that's a great thing about the way the movie portrays everything.
Yeah, no, that was such. It seems like there were no wasted moments in this movie. Yeah. Like, because upon like the second viewing of it, it's actually a very quickly paced movie. And it's not rushed. It's just quickly paced. Like, there's not a whole lot of air in it, but you don't need a lot of air in it. The only time there's really any air is when they were doing like those visual gags of like, Peter just awkwardly running, and
or the scene where Peter's stuck in that like facility and he's like testing out all his gear. He's bored. And it's a funny scene, but like that's sort of like slowed down a little bit right there.
Yeah, but there was also kind of a necessary scene, because a lot of it is, and they even call it out in the movie. It's one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. It's between Peter and the Prowler, where he's just putting stuff in his trunk, and like Peter webs his hand to the trunk of his car, and he's just completely nonplussed by Peter. And he even calls him out. He's like, "Word of advice: you need to get better at this part of the job."
Yeah,
like,
he's trying to
and he's like, "What are you talking about? I'm intimidating." And like I love Donald Glover's like portrayal of that.
Yeah. I actually like their rapport, the two of them, and I think that if they bring him back, they could have a really good back and forth with him.
Yeah. Because they had really good chemistry.
Yeah.
Like they had a great rapport, like you said. Yeah. I loved when Peter is running away, to get to the ferry, because the Prowler's the one who gives him the information that that's where the Vulture is going to be.
Right.
And and like his hand is still webbed to the trunk.
Yeah, yeah.
And he goes like, "Oh, just okay. That's gonna dissolve in 2 hours." He's like, "No. You come back and you fix this." He's like, "No, you're a criminal. You deserve it." And he's like, "Come on, I got ice cream in here."
Yeah, it was really good.
It was such a great.
Yeah, like I want to see more of them together.
Yeah, it was so great.
And maybe we'll get that,
Yeah, and that's something that like maybe I don't necessarily need to see, with Peter Parker. But with Miles Morales.
Yeah.
I would love to see him train Miles Morales and have that kind of, like rapport, only maybe a step up, because it's coming from a loving place where he's, training his nephew, and he wants to use his nephew, for his abilities, because for those of you who don't know, the Prowler's nephew is Miles Morales, who takes over the mantle of Spider-Man, which they've alluded to in this movie by him referencing having a nephew.
Right.
But I would love to see, him have that role. Like, I'd like to see more of that.
Yeah. All right, so we're getting pretty long here, but there's one other thing that I think really needs to be addressed, and that is Michelle.
Yeah, which I think
Zendaya's
is another
character.
I think that was another little bit of trolling on the audience.
I do too, and maybe we have the same idea about it. I don't know if we talked about that at all.
No, I don't think we talked about that.
But so first of all, her character in the movie, she's not a huge part of it, but
No.
I really like her like snarky, sarcastic.
Like I was looking at that as like, and I'm not objectifying her. She's a lovely girl and all that. Even though they don't play up her looks in the movie, I think she's very understated.
Yeah.
But she's very much like the kind of girl where I'm like, if I was in high school, that's the girl I'm crushing on. Because she's very snarky and
right.
and all that. Like she seems like the approachable kind of girl who would be really fun to be around, even though she's just going to make fun of you the whole time.
Yeah, but what I like what they did with her is that I feel like they flipped the script on it, where they have her. I think she's secretly like totally into Peter.
Oh no, she's straight up in love with him.
Yeah, like she knows all the stuff about him. She's almost like stalking him throughout the movie and makes jokes about like why she knows so much about him.
Yeah, like she's always right there.
Yeah.
And then like she has the comment where she's like, "I'm not obsessed with him. I'm just very observant."
Yeah. Or when she goes to detention, she's like, "I just like drawing people who are sad."
Yeah, who are in distress or despair.
Right? Yeah.
And she holds up a picture of the gym teacher. She's like, "This is you."
Yeah, like so she had all these great lines in the movie. Like I really want to see more of her. Yeah. And so in the end, of course, they do the thing where like she's like, "Oh, my friends call me MJ."
Which that was straight up trolling.
Right. And so the way I see that is that this is Marvel's way of saying like, look, this is our new main love interest for Peter, right? Mm-hmm. Her name is Michelle. She's a different character, and we're not doing it Mary Jane.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's 100% that. I think they're leaving it open. I do think she's eventually going to be the love interest, I think it's going to probably be in the next movie. I hope that she's a love interest because I liked her character, and I think they can.
And I like that different relationship she would have. It's not Peter who's obsessing over this person who's unattainable. It's sort of her, because now that he's going to become probably more confident that he's Spider-Man, he might be somewhat more unattainable to her.
Yeah, I did like. I do think that they put the line in because there was all the speculation online of people saying like she's going to be Mary Jane, and this is them saying like she's not Mary Jane. Her name is Michelle. I think they just put the MJ line in there to basically troll the internet.
And that's what I'm saying, like but to shut people up and say, look, this is our version of Mary Jane, MJ. She's not Mary Jane.
Mm-hmm.
She's our central love interest character.
Yeah.
And like I said, like they're not gonna do Mary Jane because if you think about it, they're not gonna have two characters nicknamed MJ.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, and of course, the whole idea, which we talked about in our podcast, but there was a story about Feige wanting to do villains that they haven't done before.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? I'm pretty sure they want to do love interests they haven't done before.
Oh yeah, no, and I hope that's where they're going with it. But they were kind of littering this movie with like love interests for Peter Parker because you had Betty Brant as the girl on the announcements and was like tearing up when Liz Allen was leaving. But there was another one that I don't know if you noticed, but they had Cindy Moon.
Where was she in it?
She was I think she was one of the girls as the on the academic decathlon team.
Oh yeah.
I don't think they like called it out like very specifically,
okay. But that's probably not gonna go. I could see the Betty Brant one go somewhere because that I don't know who the girl was, but they gave her a couple moments. Like you saw her several times.
Yeah, they definitely called out the name a bunch of times.
Yeah, so I could see maybe in the second movie she becomes it, and Michelle is still on the side, like sort of pining for Peter.
Yeah, and then they do the full romance between them in the third movie.
Yeah, you never know. It'd be cool.
Yeah, but for those who don't know, Cindy Moon is Silk, who was also bitten by the same spider that bit Peter Parker and has the same powers. The only difference is she didn't go back to school. She went off with... Well,
they kept her in like some sort of facility, right? Isolated from everyone for some... Yeah. And they gave her some weird story as to why, right?
Yeah. Basically, she was like taken over by like some spider cult and, you know... Yeah, and
she has that like out of time personality character. You know, like she doesn't know. She makes like references to like old pop culture stuff because she's not up with the current times.
She's very much the unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt of...
I don't even know.
It was a Netflix show about like a girl who like a group of girls that were like, you know, kept in like a bunker for like 15-20 years.
Oh, well,
and like
that's exactly it.
Yeah, and like they only have like she only has references as late as like 1992 or something.
Okay.
So she's constantly like calling out stuff like the Ninja Turtles and like New Kids on the Block and stuff like that. But
okay.
But yeah, so you know, so that's in there. I'm sure that was literally just hey guys, look at what we're doing. Might as well have just put a character in there named Jessica Jones, you know, because she was also she was also a kid that Peter went to high school with. Granted, she's like, you know, pushing 30 and already detective and
so we can't do that in this version. But
but
it's fine. We got plenty of great stuff in this.
Oh
movie.
Yeah.
Throughout this whole conversation, I can't find one thing that I really wanted to nitpick in this movie. I mean, I
had some notes. Let me see if there's anything.
You still have notes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Like the only thing maybe like Iron Man a little bit. Like it's not like I didn't like him at all in the movie, but he's definitely showing his age in this movie.
Yeah.
And I think a little bit maybe of his dialogue didn't feel so much Tony Starkish at times.
Yeah.
Maybe the writers for this didn't quite have his like style down, you know?
This is one thing I did want to bring up. Not to get off that topic, but
that's fine.
Kevin Feige did address, because I know I think we talked about this after the movie was over or during the credits, about the spider sense. Kevin Feige did say after the movie was released that Peter does have the spider sense. He just said it's like, but it's just part of his nature. So they're just not, it's something that they might evolve throughout the movies, but it's something that they just didn't really feel like, you know, showing on camera by slowing stuff down or like, you know, shifting the color on the screen.
Yeah, it's something we didn't see really at all in the movie. Yeah. They never really alluded to. And I mean, I think it's fine. Like, if you want to, you could just play it off like it's going to develop in the next movie. That would be fine too. Yeah,
you know, but he made a point to say like, putting Karen in the suit was not intended to replace the spider sense.
Right.
You know, that was basically just Tony Stark just putting AI because he puts AI in suits.
Right.
So, you know, and I thought that was really cool. You know, that it's just there, but he's like, yeah, but you wouldn't see it, so why would... Like, you wouldn't see it if you're looking at him, so why would you see it if you're looking at him? Like, basically. And I was like, that makes sense. Like, I don't need to see the spider sense. Like, I just need him... You know, because it makes sense that he has a spider sense that he reacts that quickly when, like, he's going to get shot. You know? So, like... but yeah, I really don't have, like...
I mean, I was just so happy with everything in this movie. Like, there weren't any moments where I was bored. You know, the movie surprised me a lot. It was always entertaining me.
There's one thing that I didn't really like, and I'm kind of glad that Peter shot it down. Was I didn't like the look of the new spider suit that Tony Stark designed at the end of the movie. Yeah. I just thought it looked like really kind of gaudy and awkward, and I didn't like that it was like really bright, like the bright colors with like gold trim on it.
Yeah, I wanted to see him wear it though. I really did.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't do the Iron Spider suit though.
Yeah.
But the one thing that
would have been a cool nod to the comics though.
Kind of, yeah. I honestly thought that it was gonna have the legs pop out.
Yeah.
Which would have been super silly, and I don't know if I would have loved it, but in talking his suits though, I really, really, really liked that his homemade, like really cheap looking suit was very much a nod to the original Scarlet Spider costume, where it was because the original Scarlet Spider costume, I know we're running a little long, but it was a red bodysuit with like the traditional looking like Spider-Man face, but it had a blue hoodie over it with the sleeves torn off with the spider on it, which it was basically, that's kind of what his suit looked like, only the colors were inversed. And I thought that was really cool. I thought if they ever decide to go the route of the Clone Saga, which I could actually see them doing.
You never know.
Yeah, like, down the line, like I would trust Marvel to do it right.
Right, if anyone can. It's definitely them.
I think that's a good way to kind of set up that costume for a clone of Peter Parker, to be Ben Reilly. I don't know. I really liked that. I liked the Ben Reilly Spider-Man for when he had it over like the Scarlet Spider. I thought that was really kind of cool. So I was really excited about that. And then, really, I just love the huge reveal at the end where Aunt May finds out that Peter's Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
and like, she goes, "What the fuck?" And then it goes right to the credits.
That was cool.
That was so great.
Yeah.
It was the perfect reaction that she should have had.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, that's different too, because I don't know. Does Aunt May at one point does she know he's Spider-Man? Yeah. Maybe at some point, but I think doing it earlier.
I think it's one of those things in the comics where like she knows, but she also knows that it's Peter's secret, and she doesn't want to ruin it for him. So
yeah, I mean, it's fine. Marvel doesn't really in their movies, they don't really deal with secret identities very much.
No, and that's the one thing I was wondering is that big press conference that Tony had set up. Was he introducing Spider-Man or was he introducing Peter Parker?
I'm pretty sure he was Spider-Man. I don't think he was going to out
Peter. A 15-year-old kid.
That'd be a problematic. So.
Yeah, I can't imagine him being like, and the latest Avenger, this kid.
Although, okay, so I really did like how
he's like, "Hey, everyone."
So he turns down this whole thing, right? And he thinks that it was just a test. Yeah. And then no, actually there were all these people waiting.
Oh.
And Tony's like, "Wow, what do we do?" He's like, "Well, you still got that ring, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, I've had it since 2008." And I'm like, that's the year of the first Iron Man movie. I'm like, that's fantastic. Like, I love that. That's just a great reference.
That was so great. And
yeah.
She's like, "No, we're not doing that." And he's like, "Come on, give me the ring." And he just like flips it to him.
And they go out, and obviously, and I would love to see that if the next Avengers movie starts off with their wedding.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a really great way to do it. That
or their honeymoon. It doesn't have to be their wedding.
The wedding would be cool because then you can have all the characters there for that reason.
Yeah, you have Steve Rogers like lurking in the background, because he's still like on the run, but he's like, "No, this guy's my family. I have to be here for him."
Yeah, it would be cool to do something with that.
Yeah.
Maybe have a smaller, minor villain, maybe interrupt that in some way, or have some sort of plot point around that. It'd be interesting.
Whiplash just comes.
Oh, yeah, I think he's dead.
Yeah, he's. I don't know.
Justin Hammer.
Justin Hammer.
All right. On that note.
Yeah. On the note of Justin Hammer.
Yeah. We can leave it at that. The movie's fantastic, amazing.
Yeah, go see it a whole bunch of times. Buy the merchandise so Marvel gets their cut.
Buy the 4K Blu-ray.
Yeah, it's worth it. We watched it in
RPX.
In RPX, which I don't really like 3D. But it was worth it. They actually used the 3D.
Yeah, the 3D is good. Yeah, it's never overwhelming in any way. It's really good.
Yeah, it's just kind of part of the movie. It's never distracting.
And those seats, what do they call that?
The butt kicker
The
seats.
butt kicker seats with I really loved
Just
it.
the subs, just kind of like just shaking you enough to bring you into the movie somewhat, but not actually like jostling you around.
Yeah, no, that really worked. The perfect amount of like bass and then you feeling it. Like it was fantastic.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was a really great movie watching experience. Even though like I was like stuck next to like a little kid who like I don't think could have cared less about being in there. And then I don't know if you heard her, but like the girl that was like, you know, like a seat over from mine, you know, just had her very loud commentary. Oh, yeah. All that like didn't detract from the movie. That was how great it was.
Because you didn't decide to ask me, hey, what seats do you have? I told you. And you're just like, oh yeah, I told you I was getting these tickets. And you were like, oh yeah, I got them too. You're like,
yeah, but dude, like,
you could have asked me what number seat. It was totally available when you got them.
Yeah, but like,
that's all right. Don't worry
I'm trying to remember, like, because I remember getting that independently from you though, because I originally was.
Did you get them before I told you I got them?
I think so, yeah, because I was gonna get it for I was going to go to an AMC theater, and they were completely sold out. So then I went to the other one.
I see.
Yeah.
Either way, this has been the superhero's journey.
Fine, whatever. Next time I'll watch the movie next year.
Spider-Man Homecoming review. All right, guys.
Yeah.
And
yeah. No, it was awesome.
Yeah.
More awesome than our review.
Yeah. No, our review's great. Talk about it on Twitter, okay? At Superhero's Journey. No E in Super.
Tell Tom Holland to tweet at us about how great we are.
Yeah, do that.
Or the opposite, tell Tom Holland that we think he's great.
Yeah, we love Tom Holland, okay?
Just be like, hey, these two guys in their 30s think you're awesome.
Don't tell them that way. That's weird. But email us at thesuperheroesjourney@gmail.com, where heroes is plural, not possessive. If you want to have any comments about that and say anything weird to us, that's fine.
Yeah, just, I mean,
we'll read it.
We've said it before, we'll say it again. These podcasts are just the start of a conversation. We'd love to talk to you guys about it. So,
all right.
Yeah.